we go.
What's going on, everybody? Back with a long-awaited episode that I mean, it's been a couple weeks since we've done one, Nick. Yeah. And Kris, I reached out to you, I think at the end of last year, to see if I could get you on. And so this has kind of been
it's been a while.
It's been a little while in the making. And we had a whole list of people that we've been working through. So I don't want to say we finally got to you, but that's the God honest truth. We finally found a date that works with everybody and got it lined up. So, but I appreciate you jumping on, man. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, for sure, man. So one question that we always kick it off with, everybody that joins, first snowmobile, what were you riding?
1981 250 Polaris Star.
Wow.
In Bethel, Alaska. Yeah, Bethel, Alaska. My dad and my stepmom had bought a Polaris Star red, and that was the first sled I ever rode.
Really?
Yeah, it was the first time I ever been on a sled. Yeah, that dates me, huh?
I'm almost gonna Google this because I'm like, I don't know that I've ever seen one of these.
Go see what it looks like. Yeah,
that's messed up. That's really messed up. That made my hands sweat.
I've seen one of these.
Well, yeah, I don't want to make you feel too old, but that was 2 years before I was born. So
I've actually got a picture of me on it, and I'm wearing a fur hat, an Alaskan fur hat. I've got a picture of me. Yeah, it's classic. It's one of my favorite pictures I have.
Awesome.
So, were you from Alaska then?
No, I was born in Colorado, and then my dad was born in Anchorage, Alaska. So he always wanted to move back, and so he got a job up there, and we moved back in '81 to Bethel, Alaska, and that was where I got introduced to Alaska, and then I stayed there for a few years in Bethel, and then we moved to Dillingham, Alaska, and then that's where I stayed until I graduated. Then I would go back and forth through Christmas and Thanksgiving and summers to work there in the summers. That's where I became an Alaska man.
There you go.
Dude, that's such a beautiful state. I went there in May last year. I'd been talking to my wife and, trying to talk my wife into going. And I finally convinced her because she went when she was a kid. So she's like, well, we don't need to go. I'm like, well, the rest of your family hasn't been, so we'd like to go. And so we did. Man, it's freaking amazing. Like, people are like, you're going to love it. I would go back right now if I had the opportunity. It's awesome.
It's a love and hate relationship. I could see, going back and doing the Iron Dog, I definitely, when I left Dillingham in '98, that was the last time I was home. I couldn't wait to get the hell out of there. My wife, which was my girlfriend then, I couldn't wait to get back and see my girlfriend. And I never wanted to go back. It was summers I'd go there and I'd miss her for 2 or 3 months when I'd go back up there and work, and I couldn't wait to see her. So when I left in '98, I was like, I'm never coming back. And then when I got invited to go back up there and talk at my high school, I couldn't believe, I didn't want to, I was like, I left this place wanting to leave. Like, it was just so incredible. I felt like a tourist. I forgot the magnitude of Alaska and how beautiful it was. And so I really fell back in love with it again.
Yeah, you almost take it for granted just how
I did 100%.
Yeah, it's truly incredible. Anybody listening that hasn't been, put it on your list because you feel like you're on a different planet. I'll say that. That's how I felt anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot to deal with Alaska. I mean, people don't realize it, but you gotta be in love with the cold. You gotta be in love with the outdoors. You gotta be willing to sacrifice, being uncomfortable and just going out and dealing with it. Otherwise you'll be miserable, but it is beautiful.
Yeah. So how did that with that 1981 Polaris, I mean, how did that kind of spark everything that you got into and leading to the career that you have now?
It actually started off when we moved there. I got big, and my parents had a dog sled team, and I got big into running dogs. And I was running against a girl. Her name was Dolly Inksman, and her dad was the the judge for the local courthouse there. So her and I had this competition between us to, who could get first and, who was training their dogs. And I got into that. And that was there for a while. And then I got big into sledding, as I learned a little bit more about snowmobiling is when I really got back into sledding. And it took off from there. And then once I figured out that horsepower, you get more horsepower out of a snowmobile than, 4 or 5 dogs. And I kind of let the dogs go and, you know, it was a little bit more fun. And so that's where it really took off is once I figured out what a snowmobile could do.
You got to
Yeah,
feed a snowmobile a heck of a lot less food too.
Yeah, the dogs were a lot, you had to train them and there was it wasn't as cool either. The chicks didn't dig, "Hey, I have a dog sled team," but if you said you had a snowmobile, or a sled, they're like, well, that's a little cooler."
Yeah.
yeah, we'll talk to you now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So, yeah.
So how did you like kind of walk us through the progression of the kind of snowmobiling you did? I'm assuming you just kind of like messed around. Did you trail ride and then you went to backcountry or straight to backcountry
So,
riding?
in Alaska, it's just a different type of riding, where I lived, there was mountains, but I was on a Polaris Star, a 250 Bravo. From a Bravo, I went to an Exciter 570. From an Exciter 570, my parents had um, Lynx, a Lynx Arctic Cat Lynx. That was about the end of my snowmobiles right there. I mean, we didn't have a whole lot. So I was beating the living tar out of these sleds, and I was in Alaska, and you couldn't get up into the mountains. We were jumping them and stuff, but nothing like once I got into Boondockers, how I was jumping. And so when I moved to Reno, Nevada, after I graduated from college, my next door neighbor had a XLT, and I bought the XLT from him. And that's when my sledding really started to progress. Where I got into the mountain riding and really found horsepower and difference in tracks and bigger lugs. And I remember when I think Yamaha came out with God, I don't remember, like a 2-inch lug or inch and 3/4 lug or something. And I was like, wow, this is incredible.
Probably
And
the
so then it
Mountain
really
Max.
grew. Yeah, the Mountain Maps. There you go. I couldn't remember. And then that's where it really kind of grew. And then I finally bought my own, my Gen 2 and kind of went on from there. And so that's how the progression of snowmobiling really took off for me is once I moved to Nevada in Reno. But before I would guess just a flatlander where I remember I'd go to my girlfriend's house and I would time myself from my doorstep to her doorstep and see how fast I could make it. And that was like the excitement of my life, because the snow was hard. There wasn't a lot of powder. It was mostly hard, wind blown, ice chunks.
Yeah. Yeah. Not ideal for, not like what you see in the videos that you've been in where you're just carving through like 4 foot of over the hood snow.
No, so when I say I've been riding for however long, 35 years or whatever, 40 years, it has been, but not the mountain riding has kind of taken off ever since I got, moved to Nevada in 98, yeah, 99. I think I bought the XLT in 99. So it really started in 99 is when I got big into the mountain riding.
Yeah. And you still do it too. Like that's the thing. Like some guys have hung it up and they're just like, I'm kind of getting up there. I don't want to do it anymore. But man, you're just still out there shredding. Like
And I
that's
think about
impressive.
that too, but Chris Barrett's about my age and dude, he's the dude is unreal. He's still killing it. I'm not to that caliber. I'm a weekend warrior. And, I try and tell people that, I didn't have, like Matt's one of my best friends, Ince, and I talk with him a couple times a week. And, he's riding a couple thousand miles a year where if I'm at 1,000 miles for a year, I'm pretty stoked on that. So I feel like I'm doing pretty good for what I've been dealt for riding wise. And I'd like to think I'm getting after it. I could feel it though. When I go out and ride, I could feel that I don't have that adrenaline junkie in me anymore where I'm like, oh, I could jump that. And I'm like, my knees hurt, my shoulder hurts, my back hurts, my neck hurts, well, let's just keep going. We'll come back to that. I've told Ben Burke that like for the past 7 years, we'll come back to it. We've never gone back to it.
No, it's admirable, man. I'm gonna fanboy here for a second because I've watched you in like 509, volume 7 and 8, and all those ones, and I was like, this dude is off the chain. You're like my favorite segment in those videos, and I was my in the reason we watched him so much is my son. he's about to be 15, but when he was young, that's all he would watch. That's all he wanted to watch was snowmobile videos. So we watched that one probably 5,000 times on DVD. And it's kind of funny because, he left to go do something with his friends. He's like, "Well, what are you doing tonight, Dad?" I'm like, "Well, I got a podcast." He's like, "Well, who are you talking to?" I'm like, "Do you remember Smasher from, 509 Volume 7?" And he was like, "No way." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's so cool." I'm like, "Yeah, we're gonna talk to him tonight." So I wish he was here. He'd say hi, but he's gonna miss out. But yeah, no, it was. I mean, you're just such an accomplished rider, man, and like the stuff that you've done is just, I love it, dude. And I'm glad that you're still doing it.
I appreciate that. It's the older I've gotten. I mean, I've got like a whole wall of things I've done that hang in my wife and I's retreat when you walk into our bedroom. And sometimes like I need to move it, but I see some. I've got a tandem drop that Matt and I did, and it's a big old canvas painting, and it's probably one of the biggest drops I ever did. And I still walk by it, and I'm like, what was I thinking? Just for the notoriety, like, dude, I went big, and it's cool and everything, but my body is paid. Like I really have. You think of Chris Brown and uh, Jay Quinlan, Chris Barant, Simler, Dan Phillips, Dan Adams. Oh, I'm gonna forget somebody. They're gonna not be happy with me. But you think about these people and what their body's going through, and now I'm 53 and I know what I'm going through, and you know it just but to hear people talk about me, I just had a guy call me a legend on the internet the other day, and I was like, "Man, I don't know if I'm a legend, like, just a guy with passion. I've really followed my dream." And, I came from Dillingham, Alaska. I wasn't supposed to be anything. I just came down here to go to college, and, Dan Gardner took me in on Boondockers, and I kinda just pushed my limits to go big when I was young because it was something I was so passionate about, and here I am.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with that. I'd say you're a legend. I'd say you're a pioneer of what, I mean, because you think about it, and you touched on it, like, oh yeah, when, back in the late 90s when Yamaha came out with the mountain backs and things, sleds started getting built more towards the backcountry market. There wasn't,
Correct.
I mean, who's gonna start riding sleds like that? Who's gonna start doing the drops? Who's gonna start doing hitting the booters and doing all this crazy stuff? So, yeah, you're I mean, when it comes to that respect, like, yeah, you are one of the OGs, man. I mean, that's why I wanted to have you on. I'm like, you are a legend. Like you kind of helped
Yes.
shape and mold that into what it is today. So don't give yourself some credit on that. You know what I mean?
You just don't
Um,
think
I,
about that, I mean, you look at what Caleb's doing, and you look back at some of the guys that you just I guess you kind of forget. And um, I've got every video I've ever been in, and I told my wife I want to put a 100-inch screen TV downstairs in my movie room, and I want to sit through and watch them, like from the first year, the second year. And I remember I think it was 2011 or 12. It was one of my big breakout years where I just went full out that year. And some of the stuff I did, I can remember being down towards Sonora, and I was with a couple of buddies, and I was going to do this drop, and I was going to feed it right in between two trees. My buddy Shane Kelly was like, "Dude, this is a bad idea. I think his, ad-libbing here." And I was like, "No, I think I got it." And the pictures I've got of it are sick. Like I still remember it. I remember it was an old timer. His name's Silvertip, and he was with it. And he was an older guy like I am now, and he was screaming and hooting and hollering. And I made the drop, and it's I want to watch the progression of my years go through. I would think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that would
sure.
be. It'd be awesome.
So, what were your early days of like off trail riding? Getting to learn the techniques and everything. Do you have any real struggles or like eye opening moments that kind of you had to work through?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when I was riding the '96, um, my '96 Ultra, I think I just had really figured out what the horsepower was. And to me, that was that had some get up and go. And then when I met Dan Gardner and Jeff Fatty Dyer and the Boondockers crew, it was when I really started getting into the tree riding and really progressing. And that's where I started to learn a lot, from Dan and from Fatty, from Ryan Nilsson and those guys riding with them. That's when the whole tree riding and the boondocking and figuring out, hey, this is pretty cool. Side
Mhm.
hilling. I mean, I think side hilling is one of the forgotten arts. It's kind of cool. Um, so that I think that's where it all really took off, is once I got into Boondockers, is getting into the really technical stuff where just not big drops. I can remember my first drop. I've got a picture of me in the mountains like this, and my sled's like this. So when I came down, I tail slapped so hard it sent me
Oh,
into the bars. Went over the sled. The sled took off down the mountain. I've still got the picture, and I was like, "Well, that didn't work out." The next one I did, I split my lip wide open, or my chin wide open, and so yeah. To answer your question,
Ouch.
yeah,
yeah, just that progression.
yeah, yeah. So what's one mistake you feel like new riders in the backcountry typically make?
Ooh, not having avalanche safety, avalanche awareness, thinking that it won't happen to them, thinking this is where I'm in a safe spot, not thinking about a train trap. I mean, I've learned a lot over even the last year. So I think that's one of the biggest is safety, that it'll never happen to them. It won't happen. It's not a matter of if, it's when.
Yeah, yeah. It's
That's a good one.
playing Russian roulette out there, definitely.
You are. And if you're not ready, if your partner's not ready, you know, not to, you know, I'm pretty picky as the years have gone on about people that I ride with. And the first time I went riding with Ben Burke, I was pretty impressed. His sled was in tip top shape. He had his beacon, he had his radio, he had his shovel, he had his saw. Like, he was 100% ready. And me, of all people, my radio wasn't charged. I didn't have a radio, and so that kind of bummed me out. But that was pretty impressive. The first time I rode with him, he was 100% ready, dialed, sitting at the trailhead. So that's something that I do look out for. If something happened to me, are you going to be able to dig me out? Can you find me?
Yeah, for sure. It's not you that you have to be worried about. It's the people with you, if they can save you, if they have the training and proper techniques to be able to do that.
Yes, sir.
I definitely agree with that wholeheartedly. So you're looking at something real technical, something gnarly you're about to hit. What goes through your mind when you're about to do something like that?
Then or now?
Well, yeah, we'll take both, I guess. When you first started versus now.
I was like, dude, I got to make this happen. This is what the pioneers before me were doing. This is how I'm going to make it big. This is how I'm going to get. This is. I was thinking, how am I going to get sponsored? This is a dream. I need to impress.
You're hungry.
I was hungry. I was riding with Dan Gardner, NOG. A guy that has been afraid of nothing. Jeff Fatty Dyer, Ryan Nelson, Rick Barker. Um, God, I'm gonna forget other people. But anyways, those are the people that I look up to. So I was like, I have to push my limits. And so that was kind of my mentality, is like, I wanted to be recognized. I wanted to follow this dream. I got a start from HMK, to make people proud. So I wanted it. I wanted that dream. And so the bigger, the better, the harder I could go. I just had to make it happen. I had to conquer my fears. We were in Canada, and I got to go ride with Dan Davidoff, and we were filming for Boondockers and Crazy Canadian. And there was this pretty good sized cliff drop, and I've got a good photo of it. And it was the biggest I'd ever done at this time. And Davidoff pointed it out, and in my head, I'm like, "No way, dude! This is ridiculous." And we were in Canada, so I was worried if I get hurt, with the medical system, how's this going to work? My wife. Um, so, anyways, we were sitting up there, and the clouds were covered over, and the film crew was down below. Gardner was down below, and Davidoff was up top, sitting with me. And he was like, "As soon as the sun comes out, you got to go. You got to go." And we're sitting there, and you could see the break in the clouds coming. And Davidoff's like, "Snatcher, get ready. We're gonna go. We're gonna go." As soon as that sun broke out, he's like, "Okay, go, go." And I remember being on my sled going, "Yes, no, yes, no, yes, I'm going, I'm going, I'm going." And I landed it, and it was an off camber landed. And when I landed, dude, I was like, "I'm done. I'm retiring. Like, that's the biggest. I'm out." Like, I was just trembling,
That's
shaking, and
cash me
everybody down below,
out.
Ryan Nelson, Jeff Fatty Dyer, Dan Gardner, and there's another guy with me. I forget his name, but they were screaming, hooting, hollering. And so then, that's how it was. And now, I don't know, I just feel like, you know, I'm I'm not gonna beat the Caleb's. I'm not gonna beat I'm not beating those guys. I can't. I hurt too much. So I don't have that drive anymore. I don't have that push. I want to stay relevant. And I want to have a good time, but I'm out there just to have a good time. I'm not out there to kill myself and go, well, I broke a leg. It's all right. Now I'm not breaking anything.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, I hear you. So where did the nickname Smasher come from?
I'll make the story short. So before I was sponsored, we were sitting in a parking lot where we normally ride, and my buddy and I were parked there. And we were in full clothing gear, and this guy rode up, and he was like, "Man, I'm so glad to see that someone's up here that can totally smash it, and they're killing it, and you know, it's so cool that you're out here just being gnarly." And I was like, "What?" And he took off. 'Cause I looked at my buddy, and I was like, "Who is that?" And he's like, "Well, I thought he was a friend of yours." I'm like, "Nope, I don't know anything." So the next weekend, we were waiting for my buddy that eventually sponsored me. And this guy rides up again. He's like, "Dude, I was just smashing my suspension. I was smashing the mountain. I was totally smashing it." And he like goes to turn around, and he's in the parking lot, and he hits like the snowbank, and he gets off, and he pulls the ski, and he drives off. And we're like, who is this guy? Like, what the heck? So then we went up, and we're like, I'm jumping, I'm going up this mountain, and I'm kind of side hilling across, and I'm hitting this cornice and flying down. When I came down, there's a buried stump, and my sled hit it and just wadded it up good. I flew about 20 feet, hit my thighs. I'm laying there, and my buddy Charles comes up. He's like, "Dude, you smashed it. Your sled's wadded up." So I took the sled into our local shop here, and my buddy Al, um, his mom worked for a vinyl company, and so they put Smasher Smashington on the hood of my sled as a joke. Well, then I went riding with Anthony O'Berty, Jesse O'Rourke, and Jesse O'Rourke's best friend, his buddies, and Smasher Smashington was on the hood of my sled, and I wadded up in the trees, and so this was like my my preliminary, like my tryouts for Team Summit, and they asked me about the Smasher Smashington, and I told them, this story that I'm telling you right now. Well, then Dan Gardner came to down with with Boondockers, and we went riding, and when they did the video, he was like, he'd film me, he's like, "Do you want Smasher in there, Smasher Smashington, or Kris Kaltenbacher?" And I was like, "Well, I don't want Kris Kaltenbacher. I mean, I don't want Smasher. Put Kris Kaltenbacher in there." And he put Smasher in there, and it stuck ever since then. Like it, I tried Tammy from Two Cool Air Vents. We were at a Thunderstruck premiere, and I was emceeing, and I was like, "Hi, I'm Kris Kaltenbacher." And she stood up in there and screamed, "No, you're not. You're Smasher. You can't run from it." And it stayed.
Don't you
It's
There you
here
don't you
go.
forever.
lie.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yep. It
You're
was
like
here,
you're like, "I'm Kris
and I've tried to get
Kaltenbacher."
rid
They're
of it.
like, "Who's that? Who's that guy? We don't
And
know
when I
that
when,
guy."
when I go to like snow shows or the Boondockers premiere or a Thunderstruck premiere, I would always introduce myself as Kris Kaltenbacher, because if I walk up and I'm like, "Hey, I'm Smasher," they're like, "Oh, Smasher." And so I've always introduced myself as Kris Kaltenbacher, but when they hear you're Smasher, they're like, "Oh, I know who you are." So it's just stuck, man. It's one of those dumb names. Like Jeff Fatty Dyer, he said that he was water skiing, and the rope broke, and so they called him Fatty. And ever since then, his name's always been Fatty. So it's
Oh.
just one of those. And even my friends at work are calling me Smasher. There's people that I don't even work for that have found out, "Oh, you're Smasher," and now they call me Smasher. One of my best friends at work, he calls me Smasher, dude, and I'm like, "Oh, whatever." I give up. Like, it's over.
Yeah. Nice stick.
Yeah, it's taken me years. My wife actually, I think, has probably called me Smasher like 3 times. I was like, "You need to call me Smasher," and she's like, "Not gonna happen. It's not."
That's funny. So, getting back to what we were talking about before the nickname story, I mean, have you had a close call that changed how you ride? Or did it force you to change your riding style or how you do things?
Ooh, a close call. Yeah, Eric Volk came to town. We've been trying to get him out of Colorado, so he brought his snow bike. We went to Utah. It was me, Dan, Fatty, and Eric. Dan was super sick. The day started off, I actually rolled Dan's sled off my sled deck, bent his steering post, hit my hip, swelled up my hip. Um, Dan was super sick. We get back in this canyon that Dan and Fatty had chosen for us to go back in, and Eric had a problem. So we started to head out, And we were like, you know what? Let's film a little bit. And there was a creek, and Dan's like, hey, do this creek line real quick. So I was like, all right. Well, as I was doing the creek line, I was trying to go up a waterfall and I couldn't make it. So I jumped off the sled as it was coming up, and I tried to pull it around. And when I jumped off the sled, I fell through the ice and the water, and the sled came back over on top of me, and it pinned me in the water, and it bent my wrist back. And we thought that we had broken my, like I was screaming,
Wow.
like, get the sled off me. And Dan's a pretty chill feller, man. He doesn't get real excited. He's really tough. Um, but he got down to help and pulled the sled off me. He couldn't get it off. And, I'm screaming like, hurry. And the water was up to my neck. Like I was laying down with the sled on top of me. And Fatty jumped down and him and Dan pulled it off me, but it had bent my hand so far back. It broke all the bones in my arm, in my hand. And that's probably,
Wow.
and then I had to ride out, it was swollen. It was huge. So we rode back back into town. And then I ended up driving home in the middle of the night because the pain was so bad. I just wanted to get home and go to the ER. But that's probably, that's probably one of the worst. I saw Matt Ince got caught in an avalanche in one of our first years, which was really scary. But it does, to answer your question, I do think about it. There's certain situations, like the older I've gotten, I think the the older I've gotten, the smartness, maybe the more the awareness, like, hey, this isn't, it's a matter of when it's going to happen. I think that it's in the back of your head more because my injuries, my dislocated elbow, my dislocated shoulder, my two titanium hips, my ACL, my MCL, my bit tongue, my my stitches in my chin, all those things go through your head. And the older you get, you just don't want the pain anymore. Your body doesn't heal. So I start to think about those more often. Or other people that in the industry that have had bad accidents, you start to think, hey, I think about Josh Roth a lot. That he was just out riding and he got caught in the trees and he's no longer with us. It still breaks my heart. I think about those. I think about Chris Brown hitting that tree really bad in one of the Sledneck movies where he was medevaced out. So I think just over the years, you start to see that stuff and you start to remember it the older you get. And that testosterone levels come down to your body too.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's that list of injuries you just rattled off could probably scare a couple people away from getting too crazy. But you're not
But you're
wrong. Like this is the reality of the situation. Like this stuff can happen.
And when you're young, you don't think about that. We all know that. I mean, we're all grown men, and you think you're invincible, and you push the limits. I mean, think about when you're a teenage kid and the stuff that I used to do. I'm like, holy moly! And the older you get, you start to value life, I guess, a little bit more, and the more people you lose. So, not to get dark and too far into that, I don't want to, but that's kind of the way I've thought. When I say, "Hey, Ben, I'm going to come over here and do this," and I think about it, I'm like, well. I had a buddy, Jesse O'Rourke, one time we were looking at a drop, and he was like, I was up there, and after we were done with the drop, he's like, I don't want to stand on a drop with you again because the crap that goes through your head is horrible. That I talk to myself a lot, like, okay, if I bounce this way, I could hit that tree, and if I hit that tree, I could compound fracture a leg. So what we don't want to do is look at that tree. You want to look over here to where that rock is, but don't hit that rock. If you hit that rock, you could fracture your face.
Yeah.
And the whole time he's just standing there like,
Yeah, he was
uh,
like, dude, this is dark. Just go, just go, man.
you're kind of bumming me out, man.
That's exactly what he said. It wasn't even a big drop, dude. It was something dumb too. And I was like, well,
Yeah, no, I totally hear you with the other stuff. Like you get older, and I mean, once you get married and you have kids, I mean, it does slow some people down. I would say it slows most people down. They start, like people are like, why don't you hit that? Why don't you hit that jump? Like when we were up in, we had like there's an event called the Sendy up in the UP, and it's just kind of a meeting out in the middle of the woods, of a bunch of snowmobilers, and there's a bunch of jumps that they set up. People are like, you gonna hit it? You gonna hit it? And I'm like, no. Like I have to be at work on Monday. Like I don't want to
yeah.
be off with a broken leg or a broken
Yeah.
arm. And like it looks cool, I'll watch, but I'm good. Like I don't want to break anything.
Oh, it's crazy. All my years of Boondockers. So I think I started with Boondockers when I was 30, 33, 32. And my boys were just born and I was going full blown, man. I was doing it all, and my boss used to tell me, "You get hurt out there, you could lose your job." But I guess I was pretty arrogant and cocky that I think back, and I really did. I thought I won't get hurt. I know what I'm doing, and you know, thank God was on my side, or I don't know, but I got lucky because some of the stuff we did was pretty dumb. Like, holy moly. Just to get on film, like roll camera, and then Dan would say, "Who's going?" I was like, "I'm going. I got this, man. I'm
Yep.
out. Like, I got this."
Well, it definitely looks good on film. It looks I've seen a lot of your stuff, man, and I'm like, man,
Heck
that
yeah.
that dude can ride. So it paid off. It was worth it. Now that you're okay and
You know,
you're good, it was worth it.
when you watch me run or get up from the couch or in the mornings, you're like, "Well, was it really?"
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure if your wife got on here, she'd be like, mm-mm, mm-mm,
Yeah,
try living with him.
yeah, yeah. Wait till he's done riding for a good day when it's a hard day and can't
Yeah.
walk the next day.
noise you make getting out of bed the next morning. Yeah.
When I'm sitting there and I'm moving my neck or my shoulder, I can't feel my shoulder. I'm like, God, my shoulder really hurts. Mm,
Yeah, I believe
mm.
it. What do you think separates a solid rider from someone operating at an elite level like yourself? And yes, I'm gonna say you're at the elite level. What do you think differentiates that?
But different. Ooh, I'm on the sled, you know, knowing. Well, that's a really good question. That really is a good question. Um, are you meaning just from like a normal everyday Joe to a
Yeah, we could go. Yeah, that's someone that's, probably spends, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks in the backcountry versus someone who's out there, or has done it for many years or is out there a good chunk of the season like yourself.
I think it comes down into what that person is. What you're willing to push. What are your limits? What are your limits? How far are you willing to go with this? What are you I mean, I guess it comes down to limits and time on the snow and knowing your machine, knowing the snow, knowing your avalanche safety. I think it's a whole slew of things. Honestly, to tell you God's honest truth, I think it's a whole slew of things. I don't know if you could narrow it down because you look at like Matt Ince. I mean, he spends anywhere between 3 and 4,000 miles on the snow every year compared to my I don't even know to my 1,000 miles. And I think there's just a big gap in there. If that make Does that make sense?
Yeah, seat time. I mean,
Yep.
with
Seat
anything.
time, knowing everything, knowing snow conditions, your sled, your limits, where you should ride, where you shouldn't ride, storms, weather. I mean, everything. I think it comes down to all of that.
Yeah. I think we almost should have asked that question before we started talking about all the injuries and the broken bones and stuff like that, because that would probably dictate someone's limit, thinking about getting hurt or injured. So
Yeah, how far do you want to push it? How far are you willing to go? What's your goal? What's your objective? Where are you going with this? Anybody can
yeah,
go out and just throw themselves off a cliff. I mean, if you're willing to throw yourself off a cliff and deal with the consequences, you could do that. I think, there's a separation between, um, throwing yourself off a cliff and really being able to ride, like what is like your riding skill. Are you willing to get yourself out of those nasty situations? Are you really able to read the terrain, the snow? How far can you get yourself into a nasty situation where you know that you're in control and you can get yourself or the group you're with out?
yeah, yeah. That's probably a good point because I think a lot of people. I'm kind of speaking I don't know. I'm speaking for the majority, I guess, or maybe minority. I don't know, but that's probably something that most people don't think about. They think about the good times and hey, this is going to be a great weekend or a great trip, whatever. But it's the what ifs that I think pass a lot of people up. So that's probably something to think about. And like you said, getting people out of the backcountry if something does go wrong, which we've talked about that at length before on the show. I think that's definitely plays into it. So, but to your points, I mean, yeah, it's probably a bunch of different things. I would say
Yeah, because
it's
you
got to
think
be.
about it, you go out with your friends, and if I take you two out, I'm the leader. I'm the one that's leading two guys into the backcountry. So I need to know, you know, is Boondockers. If I was going out for a Boondocker ride, we're going out there for blood. I mean, we're going out there to get as nasty as we possibly can. Now, if I take you guys out, I've never ridden with you guys. I don't know your skill level. I don't know what you're into. I go out there and put you guys into a bad situation. I've taken the group that I've, taken out, and I'm responsible for you.
Hmm.
Like it or not, if something comes down to it, what if happens? I'm responsible for you twos. I need to get you two back to your family. And we've all had those. There was a bunch of us. We came out here to film in Reno, up in the Sierras, and I took four or five of us out there. And it was a deep day, deep, and I took us into a nasty situation. And Nat Greedy came unhinged on me, yelling at me, and I didn't even realize I'd put us in a real nasty situation because I was having such a good time, and I wasn't mad at him at all. I thanked him, like I gave him a hug. I'm like, oh man, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't even think about it, and I put him in a real nasty situation. So those are things that you need to think about.
Yeah, a little additional responsibility with that stuff. I get it. Makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Last question before we start talking about some Iron Dog stuff, because I know a lot of people are going to want to hear about that too. What do you think the mindset, or describe the mindset of people that love doing like what we do and what you do, like backcountry riding? Like I think there's a certain mindset, but how would you describe it?
A sickness.
I don't want the cure. I can tell you that.
If you think about it, like you love misery, you love joy, you love the backcountry, you love the cold, you love to work, you love to sweat. I mean, that's what it is. You don't really care. With take this with a grain of salt. You don't care about money too much because snowmobiling is downright just ridiculously expensive. You have to work in order to ride. I mean, if you're not getting stuck, then you're just riding it. You're just riding out there, which is fine. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're just out there to
Yep.
ride, just have a good time, fine. But if you're looking to push it, you're gonna get stuck. You're gonna spend
Yep.
an hour shoveling. You're gonna help a buddy a million times a day. You're gonna pull skis. Your shoulders are gonna be sore. You're gonna be sweating. So I'd say, misery. I mean, it's a glorious misery, is what it is. Pain is weakness leaving the body.
Yeah.
Yep. And
100%.
misery loves company. So
It
that's
does.
why that's why all your buddies
Definitely.
go.
Definitely.
I mean, I hate it when people say, "Oh, all you guys do is sit down and okay, well, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get stuck down in the creek bottom where you're shoveling and you
Thank you.
move 20 feet and you shovel for another hour and you move 20 feet and you're huffing and puffing and you're laughing and you're sweating and then you're cold because you're riding out at dark because you've been sweating all day because you went, you know, a mile and a half because the snow is so deep and you thought it was a good idea to drop down this creek bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just tell everyone, spend half a day digging platforms and shelves to get your sled out of a sticky situation, and then tell me how much you love it.
But you know what? I look at people like that, like, dude, you're a bad man. You're a sick person, but you're a bad man.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. I mean, for those who don't know about the Iron Dog, they should. But why don't you give us a quick run through of the Iron Dog and why it's so intense?
Iron Dog is a 2,500-mile race across the state of Alaska. It starts normally in Big Lake, goes all the way to, I just looked, 32 checkpoints, I think it is, 20 some odd checkpoints, goes all the way from Big Lake to Kotzebue to Nome, and then back to Big Lake or back to Fairbanks, where we finished this last year. So 23 to 2,500 miles in 8 days. Um, it's just not a race. It's a full year commitment. I've learned that over the last 3, 4 years that it's a full year. It'll start, from right now. where you're getting allocated your sled, and then you got to find time to build your sled. And I'm talking from my standpoint as an out of stater.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a full year commitment. You've got parts. So you got checkpoints. You got to worry about GPS logging. You got to worry about getting GPS on your sled. You got to worry about what parts to get. And there's a lot of people that don't understand this, but and I can't dive into this a whole lot because a lot of these tricks and stuff I've gotten from other riders I can't share because everybody's very quiet about the tricks that they've learned, parts that break, certain things on your sled, certain GPS points and blah, blah, blah. But there's just so much more that meets the eye. You're just not, and I love to say it, you just can't flip her to the gripper for 2,300, 2,500 miles and hope that you win. You got to have the
Yeah.
right partner. You got to have the right suspension. Suspension is key. It is key. I mean, it'd be like off-road Red Bull ride with the cross country guys that go out and they do the Red Bull and the trophy trucks. You
Yeah.
have crappy suspension, you're not going to do very well. And suspension is key.
Yeah.
Training is key. Some of the top guys are doing anywhere from, you know, I'd say the very minimum, which I know they're doing more than that, from 2 to 8,000 miles of training before they do this race. I mean, it's incredible. It is absolutely incredible.
What
Wow.
made you want to take it on?
I learned about the Iron Dog when I was in high school. I had a few I knew some people from upperclassmen that had done it. Todd Palin and his brother had done it. There was another guy from my hometown that had done it, and I'd kind of followed them over the years. And then being with Climb, Dustin Pancari got me hooked up with a guy named Roger Brown, and they were looking for ambassadors to go out and we do the whole race and you do like a Alaska safety where you were giving out helmets and talking about stories and promoting safety, and so they asked me to do it, and Roger came down and met me, and so he asked me if I want to do the up and back, and I was like, well, yeah, that's the Iron Dog. So I did the up and back, and then after that, I was like, well, I got to race this now. And so I got hooked up with my first partner, and the sickness started right there. And now I've come up with you got to be a special kind of stupid to do this.
So your first race there at the line, very first race, what's going through your head?
So excited. I was so unbelievably excited. I'm like, I don't care who you are. And maybe, I think a lot of the seasoned veterans would, agree with me, but you finish this race, you're a legend. Like, I don't care if you
Just to
come in
complete
first
it.
place,
Yeah.
last place, you're so unbelievably tough because once you do, you don't know. Like, I could tell you guys all the stories you want, but until you do it and you see the grueling, just the gnarly effect of this race, you're like, okay, I'm a legend, dude. I made the Iron Dog. But I was so excited. I could not wait. Like I was unbelievably, I had such a false idea of what the Iron Dog was. I'm like, dude, I'm going to get 10th place. This is going to be a walk in the park, dude. I've ridden sleds my whole life. Like, I know who I am. I'm Smasher. And no, we had 8 hours of zero visibility that I hooked up with. Have been my second year partner, Austin Carroll, and his father. And you couldn't see anything. And I was leading these guys through the storm. We all kind of, long story short, we hooked up. I don't remember exactly how, but we hooked up at one checkpoint and they said, you want to run together? I'm like, yeah, because I'm scared. And we took off in this storm. And um, at one point I stopped and I walked back to the dad and I'm like, hey, I'm a little scared because I feel like I'm going in a circle. He's like, he's screaming because it's windy, it's blowing so hard. He's like, you're doing a good job. Just stay on the GPS line. And but yeah, so my first year I was amped. I just couldn't believe I was doing this race.
Pretty cool experience. I can't
Yeah.
imagine, man. I'd love to check that out. So run us through like a typical day in the Iron Dog.
First day, you've got, like arm pump, sweating, tired, um, just getting used to you're kind of, and this is talking for me, this isn't talking your seasoned vet. You're just
Yep.
you're just going. You're following a GPS track. It's not as easy as a line. There's just not always a line. There's different variations and tracks everywhere. Sometimes there's no tracks. There's rivers. There's trees. There's whoops for you couldn't believe how many billions of miles of whoops there is. Turning left and right for hours. Elbows sore, shoulders sore, middle of your back. Your helmet just That's sore.
Bouncing
Thumb.
around.
Yep. Hands
Yeah.
go cold. Hands get sweaty. Feet get cold. Sitting down, standing up. So that's kind of like your first day. Your second day, you're kind of set into a groove. After the first day, your body's pretty sore, and then you just kind of get into a groove of, this is what the Iron Dog is. You can either deal with it or you can, I guess you could quit, but a whole full year of training for this, you really don't want to quit. So it's just that mindset. I would say it's a mindset of, you signed up to do this. This is what we're doing. You got to go. That's it. That's all there is. You got to go. Sore, tired, blisters. It doesn't matter. You're going.
You ever get so tired that you're kind of just running on autopilot there at all, or?
My first year as an ambassador, we were going from McGrath to Unalakleet, and there was, it doesn't sound like a lot, but I counted them. There was 22 stucks. I was with two Polaris engineers, and we got caught up with the expedition class, and I helped 22 times someone got stuck, and I helped. And right before Unalakleet, I was riding a sled. Sometimes when you're driving, you start to do that head nod.
Yep,
I
that's
was doing
yep.
that on a snowmobile right before
Dang.
Unalakleet because I was so tired. And there was six of us, and someone got stuck in front of me. I didn't get off my sled after 22 times. I just sat on the sled. I was like, someone else can do it. But yeah, I
Yeah,
was that tired. But it's amazing. That's the cool thing about the Iron Dog is your body will keep going. If you want it to keep going, it'll keep going. And then when you get to the finish line, your body, it just dumps all that adrenaline.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you'll get tired. But when it's time to go, it's not like when you're at home, you can say, "Hey, man, I'm not going to go today. I'm just going to chill here." You don't have that option.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. What was the most brutal stretch, of that race that you've experienced? Was it the
Uh,
snowstorm or was there another one?
I don't fool. No, I'd have to say Austin and I through the farewell burn last year at 80 miles of zero snow. That was a real mind getter. I was as clean as I can get it. That was miserable. That storm this year was pretty gnarly though, but I think the
How do you
zero snow for 80 miles.
how do you keep a sled going for 80 miles without snow?
You don't. You go as fast and as hard as you can for as long as it'll go, and then you let it die, and then you wait there for it to cool down, and you do it again, and you do it again. I think we had. I'm not even going to lie to you. I don't remember how many shutdowns. It died over and over and over.
Oh,
It
yeah.
took us. It took us 8 hours to do 80 miles on the way up, and on the way back, it took us 6 hours. And that was with
Wow.
a broken arm. On a broken arm, I broke my arm, and we did it in 6 hours.
Good Lord. You're
Yeah.
wild, man. You're crazy.
I'm telling you guys, if you want this, you do the Iron Dog and it becomes a sickness. It really does. We'll skip forward a little bit. When I was at the end of this year, I was like, I'm done. Like I'm done. I've tried to get top 10 3 times now, and now I'm sitting here and I'm like, I think I'm ready to do it again. It's just so I don't intriguing is the only word I can come up with. It just draws you in, and it's
Yeah.
just so exhilarating. Like you feel so alive.
It's just one of the last great races like that. I mean, it's like you said, just to complete it is an unbelievable feat, let alone to be competitive in it.
It
For
is.
sure.
When you go through it and you think about the whole year that you put in, and then you get to the starting line. Tom Palin told me this last year. He goes, "You get to the starting line, you've already won," and I love that. Like you know what, you're right. But then you go through, and then when you're out on the trail and you're miserable, and you think about quitting, and you think about the thousands of dollars that people have invested in you to make you so that you could do this race. You can't quit, and then you think about all the trials and tribulations that you've gone through this race, the 2,500 miles, and you get to that finish. It's just the most incredible feeling in the world. It really is. It's just crazy.
Makes it worth it for sure.
It
Yeah.
does.
How do you deal with the sleep deprivation and the exhaustion? Like, is there any like tips or tricks for that, or you just suck it up?
Oh, I take this. My buddy Anthony turning me on to this stuff called Tailwind, and it's like a pre workout, and I take some of that. But you wake up. I can think about this. You wake up, and when you wake up, you know, when you're so tired, you feel sick. You have that sick feeling, and your hands hurt, and your knees, and it was mostly my hands, not even my hands, I guess, more of like my shoulders and my knees were a little sore. And you get up and you walk around, and then you start talking, you start liven up, and then there's like 2 hours before, your start time, and you start getting dressed, and you could either think, this is going to be miserable. I'm too sore. I can't do this. Or you got to change your mindset and go, you know what? We've got 380 miles to go today, or 430 miles today. It's blowing sideways. You can hear it outside. Sounds like the house is going to come off the foundation. You ask what the temperature is. It's 20 below. Okay. So now at 80 miles an hour, we're pushing 90 below zero, and you can think about all the negatives, or you could think, okay, in 9 hours we're gonna be in Kotzebue. In 9 hours there's gonna be pizza. Everybody's gonna be cheering for you. The whole town goes crazy. So it's what you want to make of it. You signed up for this. Nobody made you do it.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. So what, like, if something breaks and you're in the middle of nowhere, what happens? How do they get the sled, or you got to make do, or how does that work?
You and Nick are it, man. You and Nick
Your
are it.
buddies.
Yeah, you figure it out. It doesn't matter. My partner and I this year, I won't get into it too much, but I bent an arm. I came around a corner, just wicked, and I hit this freaking creek, and it smoked my arm, like it bent it. So as we're in the process of fixing it, the damn 13 millimeter fell off the socket into the snow, and we both were like, "Oh no, dude, we're done." Like, we have to. So we got our hands and knees, and we looked for it for about 15 minutes, and we found it. But you have to make it work. We had to cut. We didn't have another socket, so you have a skid plate on the front of your sled. Well, we didn't have another socket to get in underneath the skid plate, so we took my partner took my uh, Leatherman, and he cut a hole in my skid plate so we could get a close-in wrench in on the nut so that we could get in there and get it. Like, that's it. You have you and him. I don't know if you guys probably know. On the front end of a Polaris, you have two bushings for the shock that hook to the lower A-arm. One of the
Yeah.
our dumbasses got too excited, and we smacked one that fell off in the snow, and we were putting it together. We didn't realize one was gone. So we looked and looked, and we couldn't find it. And my partner's like, "Dude, we're done. Like, what do we do?" And I was like, "You know what? Grab two washers. We'll put two washers in there to keep the shock from go. It'll go. It'll still thunk this way, but back and forth it wouldn't." Put the bolt in, and that got us to Kotzebue. And then I asked a villager for one of their bushings. They gave me a bushing. We fixed it, and away, the next day away we went. So that's it. Like, if you were to completely smoke a sled, then you would either tow it back to the last village you were at, and then you would have to find a way to get it out of that village. Maybe you need to tear it down into pieces, so you get it on a small plane to get it to uh, a big airport like Unalakleet, McGrath, Kotzebue, or Nome. But if you're in one of the smaller villages, you got to get it there, or um, or you leave it and you can pay a villager to go get it and bring it back to the village, and pay a villager to tear it down and put it on a plane to get it to a bigger one to get it, to get it. So you get what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
dollars.
Yeah. Yep.
Holy cow. That's
My
pretty
my money
wild.
don't jiggle jiggle. My money folds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So that's how you get a sled out, and that's worst case. Like, yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that.
No,
Yeah.
it
No, it
sounds
does not
terrible.
sound like a good time.
No.
How do you prepare physically and mentally for the Iron Dog? For leading up to it.
Dirt biking is a great way to stay in shape. Um, Riding your sled as much as you can. Going to the gym, going to the gym is good and all, but you guys know. I mean, you could go to the gym all you want, but it's not snowmobile. It's seat time. It really is. It's seat time. Mentally, every year I've done it. Last year, my wife said, or not this last year, the year before, I was a wreck. Like, I don't know why. The first year I wasn't as nervous, but the last 2 years, the nerves really hit me. I think it's because I've learned what the Iron Dog really is.
Really is. Yeah.
And when you're the main guy, the lead guy, man, I ran it with Eric Christensen, and I ran it with Austin Carroll, and then this last year was with Cole Sabins. I just think that kind of being the guy that's done it for 3 years, I kind of knew where I was going. So there's a lot of pressure on you to know where you're going, when you're going, where the trail leads. I mean, I've led us the wrong way one year for about 15 miles in the wrong direction, which that was 2 years in a row I've done that. And it's out of Buckland. I don't know. It's my nemesis, man. I don't know why it's so painful for me to leave that village, but um, yeah.
Can you share a moment where things went sideways and you kind of wanted to give up, but you just had to dig deep and just make it happen?
Yeah, I'm not proud of it, and I've told my partner that this last year with Cole Saban, when we left Caltag, between Caltag and Unicleat, there's quite a few moguls, but he broke a torsion spring, and when we got to Unicleat, I just felt like I was done. I don't know why I'd kind of given up, and I'm sad because I've never given up on anything in my life. I'd like to think. And the next morning when we got up, Cole was trying to find a solution. And every time he'd find a solution, I would knock it down, which within reason. I mean, some of it was good because I was being realistic. We asked a couple veterans and they were like, Chris Smasher's right. If something happened, you guys are screwed. But Cole pulled us through. Cole really did. He found the parts. We got into a shop. We got his sled fixed, and we were on the way. So, man, mad props to Cole for getting us out of that situation. That was one time. Then it still bums me out that I even hate to say it, but I'm not gonna veer from it and say that I'm perfect. But yeah, I was done. I figured we weren't gonna make it. The year before, I was in Nome and I had a fever. I was sicker than hell. Um, and my partner's dad, was like, "Hey, you can't give up." And I was like, "I'm not giving up." And I left. I mean, I was dire sick. Like I called my wife from my bed, like I think I'm gonna die. I was shivering, curled up. I was taking Theraflu. I was taking every cold medicine you could think of. But yeah,
What's the biggest mental battle on the race? Yourself or the obstacles?
yourself. Keep going. Because it's just not smooth. I mean, it's the most miserable. It can be the most miserable conditions where, like when you're riding a sled and the snow is really hard, it's iced over, and there's just drift after drift after drift. And there's a lot of times where it's just so damn hard for hours. But then there's other times that the snow is so smooth, you're just flipper to the gripper forever, and it's amazing, and the scenery you get to see. So I would think it's the mental part, the mental, the fatigue and the tiredness of your body. Your body just seems to take over. It'll keep going. Like it's amazing what your body will do.
Yeah.
It's the mental, the mind games, the mind games. That's what I love about it. You could just
Yeah.
keep pushing your mind, keep
Yeah.
pushing it. Just let's go. We got to go. You'll get to a
So
checkpoint and you've ridden for so long, and when you get off your sled, you feel like you're dizzy, like you're drunk because you've been on the sled for so long and so bumpy. You're like holding
Yeah.
on to it,
Sea
and
legs.
and
Yep.
yeah, and when you stop at a checkpoint, time is clicking. The tick 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 tick. So you need to get your fuel. You need to get your oil. You need to pound of water as fast as you can. Grab a little snack out of your bag, your handlebar bag, and dude, you're going like balls to the wall again. Like yeah, that's it. Okay, here we go for the next 5 hours.
wow,
There's
that's
no like,
crazy.
hey, let's time out. Let's have a drink or just sit down. No, let's go.
Yeah.
So after I mean, the sickness, the cold, the crashes, I mean, what keeps drawing you back to it? Is it just the thrill?
Uh, I want that top 10. I just feel like I look at all my accolades I've done, all the Boondockers, my sled heads, cover of sled heads. It's the Iron Dog. I just look at these top guys. It's just incredible that you could do 2,500 miles on a sled in 53 hours, 60 hours, whatever. And you're talking what is there, 30 teams? There's 30 teams this year, 31 the year before, 25 the year before, I think. And you're one of the very few. You think all the sledders that do it, and you go out there and you do this race. It's incredible to me. It really is that you can. push your mind, your body, and you can build a sled to make it that far. As rough it is. And I just want that top 10. They usually give out a big cardboard check. And if I could get that cardboard check, it doesn't even have to have money in it. Put zero money. I don't care. As long as it says Kris Kaltenbacher, 10th place,
Yep.
Iron Dog, that's going to go. And I could sit there and I could drink my beverage of choice for the rest of my life and go, I'm a top 10 Iron Dog finisher. I did it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
that would be sweet, man.
Yeah.
How do you explain the appeal of this? Of like, I mean, this is super hard and difficult. How would you explain the appeal of this to someone who doesn't understand it? Maybe.
Um, the appeal. It's just, well, I have one, but I don't want to go to that one. Um, hmm, do you guys ride dirt bike?
Yep.
Used to.
It's just, it's something that it's a love and hate. It really is just something you hate because it's so painful and it's so tiring and so miserable, but there's just so much glory in it. The
Hey,
scenery, the
yep.
villagers, the finishing, the start, the maybe the notoriety that you're one of the elite few that have done this and are willing to do this. It's just not the race. It's the figuring out how you're going to get your sled built, where you're going to get your sled shipped to, what sponsors are going to help you, who's going to give you information, how do you get your GPS, how do you get your sled to and from the start line, what do you do with your sled after the finish? It's all of that bundled up, like, and it's just you got to fly to. What did I fly to Alaska last year? Last year I spent I think it was over 200 hours. We figured about 200 hours from the time I left my doorstep to the time I got back with building the sled, airline times, airline miles, tickets. The year before, I think I went up 4 different times to Alaska. So it's that whole bundle, and you've accomplished that. It just isn't go up, get on a sled, do 2,500 miles, come home, and okay, I got 10th place. It's that
Yep.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
No one else
it
was
makes
willing to do
sense.
it.
Yeah. Why do I do it? Because no one else will.
No one else will, and I want to do it. And I like that a few of the riders have told me that they like that what I bring to the race, that it's the awareness of it. And for the guys that I respect and that I admire so much up there, if I can give back to something I love so much and maybe bring people from the lower 48s to keep this race going, let's keep it going. I don't want it to die. Like this was
Yeah.
a dream of a kid in Dillingham, Alaska. Now I'm doing it. So maybe it shows another kid like, hey, he came from nothing. He did it. So let's do it. Let's get a buddy like Nick and Derek. They want to do it. Like get a couple of sleds. We'll do it.
I already got a buddy ready to go.
Get
There
up
you
there.
go. Yep.
Yeah, like
Let's
he
go.
said, it's not just a one-day event. It's a year you spend or more at this. I definitely that'd be one on the sled bucket list. I would love to knock out for sure. That's been a long time goal of mine for sure.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
it's just, and I've got a couple of buddies that I think that would do it, but I want a seasoned veteran now. I want someone, if I can get a seasoned veteran, someone that would take a chance on me. I just want to grab that little belt buckle loop on the back of their pants, say, "Okay, you drag me. I'll do whatever you say. You just drag me. Let's go."
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a lightning round to kind of wind this down. So kind of rapid fire, just real
Okay.
quick, like first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Favorite place to ride?
Ooh, Stanley, Idaho.
Most underrated skill in snowmobiling.
Uh, ooh, boy, I don't know. Like that. I couldn't even think. I was gonna say something, but I couldn't say that. Underrated skill. I don't even know. Like I don't think side hilling, a side hill.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. One word to describe the Iron Dog.
Early.
Gnarly. That's a good one.
Deep powder or technical terrain.
Well, that's not a fair question because I wouldn't want to do technical terrain and hard snow.
Well,
Technical
with
terrain,
good snow for both of them.
technical terrain.
Go-to snack on a long ride.
Ooh, uh, the little pizza things that you put in your hot dogger. Pizza pockets, little ones. Pizza.
Okay.
Oh, the pizza
Yeah,
rolls.
Totino's pizza rolls?
yeah.
Those are good.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Dream ride location you haven't ridden yet?
Revelstoke.
Yeah, that's a good
Heck
one.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You still gonna hit it? You got plans to?
I was just invited up there with Thunderstruck, and I'm trying to figure out how is a reunion, and I'm trying to figure out how I can make it happen. I would really like to go. I just need to. The Iron Dog kills my vacation, so we're working on it. We're working on it.
Nice.
Heck
Oh, that's
yeah.
cool, man. Go show the young bloods how it's done. What's
No,
that, Toby
no,
Keith?
no,
You may not be as good as you once were, but you're as good once.
no, no, no. That's how Smasher gets hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, we're just over an hour, so we can let you get back to your Friday night, man. But man, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And for me, kind of a dream come true, I'm not gonna lie. So thank you for, cutting out some time and hanging out with us and just kind of talking about just telling us your story, man. That's awesome. I love it.
I appreciate it. Man. I'm just Kris Kaltenbacher. Just followed a dream, and like it was just I had no idea that my sled career was going to take me this path. Like I had not an idea. I just have always enjoyed the sledding world, and then to be a part of it. And like I said, for the last 20 years, the people that I've met, like you guys, and I wish I could remember everybody's name. I really do enjoy going to the sled events and the snow shows and meeting the people, because I don't care what you ride a Bravo, ride, Caleb or Chris's sled, as long as you're riding, man, that's what it's about. There's nothing better than being in the backcountry with 4 or 5 buddies and being up on some of those mountains and looking at the countryside, and there's nothing around you. You have no cell phone, and just the cold, and you're there with your best buds that you trust with your life. Those are your friends, man. They got your back, and that's what I love
Yeah,
about sledding.
for sure.
Amen, dude. Amen. That's what a great way to wrap this up. That was perfect. That should be like on a quote, like like a painting or something at some point. That's
Make
perfect.
sure you make sure you make sure you carry those dollars though, because I do. If you don't bring dollars and you get stuck, it's a high token.
All right, Kris. Well, thanks again, man. Great talking to you. And
Really appreciate it.
yeah, we'd love to have you back on in the future. We'll if you're up for it, we'd like to, have you again.
Yeah, when you get
Anytime,
that
man.
top
If
10, we'll have you back on.
Well, if I do Iron Dog again this year and we get to keep number 9, my partner and I kept saying nine is in the dime, 9 is in the dime. So if I get a top 10 and you guys see it, get a hold of me and we'll do it, because I'm gonna have
Oh,
that
we
cardboard check.
we
There you
keep an eye
go.
on
There
it,
you
so
go.
we will.
Yep.
I
Be like,
appreciate you guys
remember
very
us?
much, man.
Yeah. No, thank
I
you.
appreciate it,
Yeah, for sure.
and been great. It really has. I enjoyed you. So thank you
Yeah,
much, man.
not a
Iron
problem.
Dog.
Iron Dog 27, top 10.
27, 27, top 10. Watch Smasher 14. Be out there watching if I do it. IronDog.org. Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna have a little like a watch party or something, like a whole team behind you next year. Now,
There you go.
Do it. The more followers that I can get to follow me and watch me, man, it adds to it, because I'll get so many messages, and I love the messages. Keep going, you're killing it. I got a couple buddies that are really on my ass to, stop messing around, let's go. So
get on the sled.
yeah, let's go, stop messing around, let's go.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, guys. Well, we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys.
Thank you guys.
That's it.